Hello, everyone, and welcome to the virtual interactive session on managing competitive challenges with efficient product development using digitalization, organized by Publish Industry India in association with Siemens Industry Software. My name is Anvita Pillai. I am the sub-editor and correspondent at Publish Industry India, and I shall be your host for today. While our last two events deliberated on product development and complexities of product development, today we shall discuss how organizations can manage competitive challenges with efficient product development using digitalization. The digitalization of manufacturing is changing the ways how products are designed, fabricated, used, and serviced. Every organization today aspires for the same basic goal to become agile in order to produce the right products faster, to delight their customers with on trend designs, and to produce compelling products that build brand loyalty. While there is a looming question on how digitalization can help achieve operations and quality excellence, there is another important question of how it can help in identifying, understanding, and managing trade-offs in ways in ways that increase product success and help to compete with local and global players. On today's lineup of speakers will mull over how organizations can manage the product economics in times of crisis, how companies can identify, understand, and manage trade-offs in ways to increase the product success, how companies can compete with global and local players with innovative and smarter products in sync with market requirements, and initiate real-time collaboration with customers to create an increased value for them with flexibility and mass customization. And lastly, how digitalization can help achieve operations and quality excellence today. To give a brief on the agenda for today, we will begin with a guest address by Dr. Balamuragan, who's the director at Growth Hacking Partners. This will be followed by a presentation by Mr. Nitin Malwadkar, who is the country technical manager for mainstream engineering at Siemens Industry Software. And finally, a panel discussion on managing competitive challenges with efficient product development moderated by Mr. Shekhar Jitkar, who is the chief editor at Publish Industry India, with panelists Mr. B.C. Rao, who's the managing director at Kena Metal India, Mr. Kedar Deshpande, who's the managing director at Uma Sons Auto Components, Mr. Viraj Kalyani, who's the CEO of Kalyani Studios, and Mr. Nitin Malwadkar. Before we begin today, I have a couple of instructions for our speakers and our audience. I would request the speakers to keep their mics and videos on mute until their names have been announced. Kindly use your earphones to ensure audio clarity during sessions, and we would be taking a question and answer from the audience after end of every session, which would be redirected to you by Mr. Shekhar Jitkar. And I would request our audience to type out any questions they have for our speakers in the Q&A box that is located at the bottom of your screen. Please refrain from writing the questions in the chat section as we might miss out on them. Just next to the chat section, there's a Q&A box, so you can type out your questions over there. Also, during the panel discussion, if your question is directed at any particular speaker, I would request you to mention their name along with the question. Now, to begin with the sessions for today, I would like to invite Dr. Balamuragan, the director at Growth Hacking Partners, for his guest address. Dr. Balamuragan is the business and management consultant focusing on excellence in business, process, and people. He has nearly 30 years of experience in manufacturing and operations in manufacturing MNC. This will be, like I mentioned, this will be followed by Q&A with audience. So over to you, Mr. Balamuragan. Your audio is on mute, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Anvita. Thank you so much for your kind introduction. Good evening, dear friends. I think I can share my presentation, right?
Yes, you have access to share your screen. Yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah, let me go to full screen mode. Yes, dear friends, very good evening. I am Dr. Balamuragan. I am Director of Growth Hacking Partners. Very challenging subject, very interesting subject, very vast subject for today. And I thank my very eminent co-panelist and also the EM Magazine and Siemens for organizing this panel discussion. Okay, this subject is very vast, as I said. I don't know whether I can do justice in 15 minutes, how digitalization of product development, what competitive challenges it can address. Each slide can go for a day. But let me just put everything in a few slides and try to just go through the next 15 minutes two important digital techniques that are going to help product development across the world. I'll be giving a lot of examples from big corporate. That doesn't mean we can take it offline. That doesn't mean that the smaller organization or small SMEs, can they not use a digital technology for their growth? Of course, yes. It is possible. The beauty of digital technology is it's applicable across the spectrum of organization, irrespective of the turnover company. So let me just start my quick presentation. If you see the products around us, both industrial products as well as the consumer products, they have undergone vast change, say in the last, say 100 years, vast change. A big credit for this must go to various innovators and product development teams across the world. Let us quickly see the challenges faced by the product development functions present day. One, shortening of product life cycle. Now, as you see, the life of the product, any product, say till about 50 years back, it used to be for at least for say tens of years, a few decades. But now you can see the mobile phone on the down right example, the life could be less than 1 year. So our product development function must be on their feet all the time developing something. The same company, the same brand may be coming with the next product maybe within a year. So accelerating shortening is the word I'm using, the sentence. Is the accelerating shortening of product life cycle of most of the products. Expectations of the customers changing very rapidly. It could be quality, it could be the technological expectation, it could be cost expectation, it could be availability expectation. It is changing very rapidly. It is not just innovation, ladies and gentlemen. I call disruptive innovations. It is not taking place every month or every year. Almost every day you open the paper, you browse through, you are finding some disruptive innovation. This means the product development functions across the world, they must keep their eyes open for what is happening around the world that is going to affect their own product development function. Changing laws in every country, the need for sustainability is also playing a role in product development. And newer and smaller organizations, they are adapting the technology innovatively and much more faster than many big companies. Could be because of the organization structure, the decision-making matrix, but many smaller organizations are taking the lead. That means again, bigger companies, the product development function must be on their foot all the time. Now, if you see in a nutshell, there are many more points. I just put a few points. It is not just QDC of yesteryears. We always talk of quality, delivery, and cost as the target for product development team. It is not just that anymore is what I want to highlight. Now, this is an interesting chart. Some of us must be knowing about it. 52% of Fortune 500 companies have disappeared since year 2000. 52%. And if you see on the right side, only 60 companies are existing compared to what it was, say, about 60 or 70 years back. So what happened to remaining 440 Fortune 500 companies? I think the points what we addressed in the previous slides, it addresses why these companies disappeared. Now the organizations and the product development teams, in other words, or any organization which comes with frequent innovative product which satisfied the needs or the new needs of the customers are going to remain not only in the Fortune 500 list or even the market. So it's a very, very important thing that we must realize. Even Fortune 500 companies are disappearing. What about smaller companies? So we need to be on our feet all the time in creating innovation into our products. Now, I would like to talk about not just new product development. I am going to talk about smart product development, not just new product development. Why? Customers expect product to be smarter all the time. And nowadays, the customers are extremely digital savvy. Whatever product that comes into the market, they expect it to be digitally savvy. 3, your own customer service team would love smart product. Why? It will help them not only to service the product at the customer place, it will also help them to get a lot of data. And the data collected is required for your own team or our own product development team for developing new products in the future. So that makes sense to go for smart product development. And customers are proud to be associated with intelligent products. They are no more just happy with the product. but they are more happy to be associated. People carry iPhone, say more proudly than any other brand because it is perceived to be more intelligent than many other brands. So customers are proud to be associated with any product which is more smarter. So smart products keep the competitors at bay, at least for a while, before they catch up with more smarter products. So we will be focusing more and more on smart product development. So what are the smart products are expected to do? They are expected to communicate with the customers, other machines, other products, and with the manufacturers if possible. And it must be comfortable in cyber physical environment. We'll not go into cyber physical. What is cyber physical? Most of us may be knowing. This is not the forum, but your product must be able to operate in cyber physical environment. And your products must be able to collect, analyze, and communicate quite a bit of data. And it should make the customer, especially retail customer, life more easier. As we saw, people like their life to be more and more easier by the smarter products. And when it comes to business products, clients, and these products must create possibilities to increase the bottom line of your client. Any client who would like to invest in a smart product, he expects his bottom line to go up by investing in a product. So that is important. And these products are expected to be safer to use and to upgrade and to safely dispose. Now, these smart products also gives a lot of data for you, whatever product we manufacture. Historically, where did the money go in new product development? Historically. I'll just show the chart. Earlier, maybe say 30, 40, maybe even 20 years back, even I was in many big factories and organizations. Almost 100% of the investment used to be in the new product development. It used to be spent on materials, maybe research or buying or procurement on materials, mechanical and electrical engineering and design. But where does the money go in new product development? There was a study conducted last year in Germany where 124 companies, manufacturing companies, people went and did a survey. You know what they found? They found almost close to 30% of the investment in the new product development R&D, it goes towards developing embedded softwares in the product being developed. It is not just anymore 100% going into mechanical parts or electrical parts. It goes into software. That means more and more efforts are being made to make the products more and more smarter. Now, I just want to show one example of what is smart product development. This is an example of pushing the envelope to the extremely different level. Of course, there are more products. I'm just taking it as an example of this beautiful product called Rolls-Royce engine. Rolls-Royce launched sometime in 2017 in a Singapore air show, a series called Intelligent Engines. Okay, jet engine is a jet engine, is a jet engine. So what is intelligent engine? So these engines, there are 3 C's built into that. What is it? They were connected. All of them were IoT enabled. A lot of sensor embedded into them. They were contextually aware, not only of the customers to whom they are servicing, and also about the constraints under which they are working. And they were comprehending its own experience when it is working on an aircraft, and also was communicating with other engines and using a recommendation algorithm. These were Rolls-Royce intelligent engines. So what does it mean? Even when an aircraft is flying, when one plane with the Rolls-Royce engine flies past, say, or flies close by another, say, aircraft with a Rolls-Royce engine, they communicate with each other, exchanging the data of the flight, of what they experience, and maybe, what is the weather condition or what is happening around them. Exchange the data, and if required, share the data not only between themselves and also to the client and also to the manufacturers. Even Rolls-Royce can see live what is happening to their engines. So this is what is an example of a smart product development. Okay, should all of us, whoever is there, should everybody go to this level? This is an extreme example of what is happening around the world. So each of us can see to what level we can adapt technology into our own product. But this is an example of what is happening. And this is extremely and highly, and they also developed a swarm, a kind of a small robo. I don't know, each of them is only 1 grams. It's not directly relevant to the subject, but even it can do self-diagnosis. To that level is what people are creating new products. Now, I want to touch upon a few areas where the technology can be used or digital technology can be used in the new product development. One such area is prototype manufacturing. Earlier, we know prototype manufacturing is a very conventional way of how we used to do. But now 3D printing technology has made this process of prototyping easier, faster, and less expensive. Again, we will not go into what is 3D or 3D printing technology or additive manufacturing, but suffice to say, this technology can make not only easier, faster, and less expensive, it can also make the number of parts come down to a great extent if you design a very clever way. And it can make the weight to come down. It can make assembly to be faster. Not only prototype. I just want to touch upon very important aspect. You can see an engine on the right side on the top. This is a GE turboprop 1300 HP engine. Now, what is the beauty of this particular engine? Forget about prototype. Even for mass manufacturing, 3D printing technology being used, the beauty of this particular engine is 1/3, close to 33 or even more than 33% of the parts that goes into this particular engine, they're all made of 3D printing technology, and it is working. So what it goes to say is it's not only prototype. If we intelligently use this 3D printing technology, can be even made use of in the mass production. Another example I would like to touch, very well known, is the combustion chamber. Generally in a rocket, where people are using a rocket, it could be countries or even now individual companies like SpaceX is launching rockets. Okay, maybe it is launching satellites or even taking people to international satellite space stations. But these combustion chambers that goes into the rockets, it used to take 14 months time to market. That means from conceptualizing to production, it used to take about 14 months. But what these guys are doing in the last 2 years, by using 3D or additive manufacturing technologies, in a few weeks time, they are producing combustion chambers. Where was 14-month lead time and where is a few weeks lead time? So this is one beautiful technology the product development can team look into. Another area is physical prototype or virtual prototype. Most of us, we use physical prototyping one way or the other. Of course, physical prototyping is one of the earliest and the oldest product development practice. It is very much valid and maybe required. But when it comes to very complicated products such as ships or aircrafts or bigger complicated structure, it makes sense to go for virtual prototyping, especially in the earlier stages of product development. When the concept changes changes are happening very frequently, it is beneficial and cost-effective way to go for virtual models. There are a lot of softwares available to go for virtual prototyping. It can offer advantage of shorter time to market, and you can experiment with new ideas, and it is very much less expensive. But let us not think physical prototyping and virtual prototyping is a competing technologies, but we can use both of them as a complementing ideas and technologies to make this take advantage of both. Actually, most of us are already using virtual prototyping, but there are more and more say advanced technologies that come into the picture. I request every one of us to make use of such things. Let us look into another area, testing of prototype. It's a very vital thing for any new product development to test a prototype. But many times you may not even have a prototype, still you want to test how it's going to perform. What is called digital testing platform comes into the way. It's a great way to customer test a product which does not even exist. It is but completely available in a virtual platform. One typical example is Alphabet. Earlier it used to be Google's car. It is a driverless car, what it used to be called. This car CTO, Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Dmitry Doglov, last year very famously said, they completed 10 billion miles of testing on a simulation platform. This car underwent simulation platform testing of 10 billion miles compared to only 10 million miles on the real world. Just imagine what kind of data they must have compiled. And look at a picture on the right side. It is a Volvo simulation platform. Volvo, most of the trucks, they test in this simulation platform before it is taken for production. In other words, they are testing in a simulated way and collecting a lot of data, which helps them to create a product which will have a bigger percentage of success in the market. As you may be knowing, around the world, the data says more than 90% of new products fail in the market over a period of 2 years' time. There are a lot of data. So if we don't want to get into that 90% bracket, the best way is to make use of such platform. So virtual testing is a way to go. Couple of last slides in the time available, I would like to share is use of AR and VR. Yes, I know till say maybe a decade back, if I was told about, if I could talk about AR and VR, I know in Bangalore there are some malls where, if you take children to the mall, there used to be virtual reality gaming corners. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone far beyond the gaming corners for AR and VR. Now, AR and VR platforms can give detailed visualization at a very high fidelity at the early design process. If you want to know exactly with a lot of detail what is going to happen, then this is the platform. Virtually, you can visualize various options and you can do it wherever you are. Your design team, one of your design person can be in Bangalore, one person could be in Pune, somebody can be abroad. They can all work together by using this platform and visualize their products exactly and check all the options. More importantly, which is very interesting, you can possibly even go around your product or even go inside the product. In fact, I was in a couple of machine tool industries. The machine tools were very huge. During design stage, I always used to wonder during design discussion, my God, I'm talking of 10 years, 15 years back. Assume if I was able to go inside the machine and check the interior of the machine, how is the fitment or how is the finish, how nice it will be. But this AR and VR gives that option now, where you can actually get into the machine. It could be a car, it could be a truck, it could be a machine. Even you can get inside a machine or inside your product and see all the details in a minutest detail. This is made possible by this tool. So what all this makes is, it makes your product, so when it goes for a production stage or manufacturing stage, you can just produce without any issues. Now, another interesting thing, I picked up this picture from internet. I understand that BMW, I think if I am not mistaken, Dresden factory is using virtual reality to assemble cars. Even a new inexperienced people can be taught how to assemble a car. In a very shortest possible time by VR tools. You can assemble a prototype also faster or train your inexperienced team by using this platform. In other words, AR and VR can make you see the things in a totally different way. So these are the few tools I thought I'll just touch upon the given time, but not to forget, I always say, yes, ladies and gentlemen, let us go for digitalization, but let us not also forget the conventional wisdom to gain the competitive advantage in new product development. What is that? I always call this a old wine, but it still has got a lot of charm. What is that? One, is a product is production friendly. I have come across, and I am sure most of you would have come across, where many times the teams produce a design which may not be production friendly. So please ensure it's your product is production friendly. Design for manufacturing, lean for design, and design for lean. Use all the lean tools. Right, I'm just giving some example called VSM. It could be all the lean tool right from initial proto manufacturing stage. Make sure that all the lean tools are put into practice, reducing, if not eliminating, all the 3Ms, muda, mura, muri, during product process design. Start doing it right in the new product design stage. It cannot be done later on. It'll add cost in terms of defects, in terms of longer time to the market. So please plan the new product development stage, how to eliminate the 3Ms during the process design. Responsibility for environment friendly design. It goes without saying, whether it's a power consumption, material use, oil coolant. Let us not do it because of here to meet some government norms. Let us do it because it's our responsibility. So these are the few things I could cover in the given, say, 15 minutes. It's a vast subject. I'm available offline also for questioning. But as I said, a vast subject covered in 15 minutes. I hope there was some value added. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Balamuragan. That session was really insightful with all the relevant case studies and examples. I'm sure our audience learned a lot from you with just this 15 minutes.
Thank you.
We have a couple of questions for you already in our Q&A box. I'll just ask Mr. Jitka to take over and ask those questions to you. Mr. Jitka?
Sure.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Bala. It was really great having you in the session, and you really touched upon well the topic with a lot of practical insights. So there are some questions. There is one question from Amandeep Singh Sandhu. Where exactly we use virtual prototyping? I mean the applications. Can it be in manufacturing, in design?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Sandhu. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Shekhar. It can be done in two places. Okay, many places, of course. But from the context of today's discussion, certainly in the early product manufacturing, one can now visualize a product virtually. As I said, you can go into a product if you want and check, assume you are manufacturing a car. It is ready, the design is ready, virtual design, not even the prototype. VR can be used technically. In fact, you can wear a VR glass and go into your design, into your car and look into the nooks and corners of your car, see for the fitment, see for the finish, see for the function. And that is very much possible. Yes, whether it is available, I have come across, in fact, last 1 year, a couple of this VR guys who are already into the system right here in Karnataka who can help out. There are people available. India has grown that way. That is one way. Other way is, as I gave an example there, even in the manufacturing, you want to train a new guy. You know, you don't know where what goes. So instead of say training, say for maybe 30 hours or 40 hours, with the help of this VR and augmented reality, we can easily train a guy even for manufacturing in the initial stages of say prototype manufacturing. These are two possibilities. Of course, there are a lot of other possibilities, but certainly these two possibilities are there. Thank you.
Okay. The next question is from Amit Narkhede. Heat treatment products, simulation available during new product development. So for the heat treatment products, whether the simulation technology is available during new product development?
Yes, good question, Mr. Amit. It is not easy to simulate heat treatment. It's extremely complex process, as you know. I have not come across any. But if the numbers can be shared, I must say that I have not come across anything in that heat treatment area. If I come across, I'll do some research and I can reach back to him, Mr. Amit. It'll be my pleasure also to learn and share the knowledge with you.
Okay. Next question is from Mr. Narhari. It is said that it's a really good question. It is said that companies rely on digital technologies for testing prototypes. However, we see when one relies on digital technologies for testing prototypes, some realities of the working environment of the products cannot be exactly simulated. So the test cases used in digital testing, they do not compete reality of the product environment. So what is your take on this aspect?
Okay, I accept as well as I disagree to the thing. Actually, VR can simulate a lot of things which we practically cannot simulate. You want to test in various conditions, say various situations or various backgrounds or various customer simulation. It is more easily possible in VR. I don't know from where it took that it is not possible. I feel it is possible, but I agree to the first point. No doubt, whatever be the digital technology that is available, finally, what is between these 2 years with us? Nothing can replace. Finally, who decides on what is to be tested? It is us. As the design engineers are deciding what to be tested. It is a tool which tests and gives a result. But what to test and what condition to test is obviously it is we who are going to decide. And yes, I totally agree with him. A lot of thinking must go from human angle in adding as to what is to be tested, and a lot of thinking is required. No doubt, I agree with this first portion. But yes, it is possible to simulate in any possible way in virtual reality field, as which is not possible in any other way. Maybe I can take his number. I can have a chat with him also if possible. Interesting question. Thank you.
So do you mean the entire working environment can be simulated along with the product which we are supposed to manufacture?
Yes, sir. Most of the times, as I said, if the rocket combustion chamber, just imagine, sir, rocket combustion chamber can be 3D printed and tested virtually before it goes to the rocket. It is a high-stake games. It is not like testing of a mobile. When such a high-stake games, people are going for testing and simulation, or even like for example Volvo trucks. When they can do, I think anything is possible, sir. It is the technology has grown a lot. Yes, sir, possible.
Okay. Next question is from Mr. Ajay Karnam. It's a little off-beat question. Can we integrate IoT in a passenger plane so that it beeps before crashing?
Okay, I think if I answer that correctly, a lot of job offers would be there to join in most of the companies. Sir, okay, IoT can give a lot of data, but as you know, when the flights are going at such a high speed, the reaction time and for example, Many times, if wrongly designed IoT, for example, what happened in Indonesia, what happened in this Boeing crashes of 737 is also because of the wrong digital thing. I mean, I will not go into that. I'll be going beyond my brief. If you study the thing in depth, it is also because of wrong digital technology which has led to both the accident, thereby the whole series being scrapped or come to a halt. Yes, it can help to some extent, but as I said, finally, the pilots are still there, and a lot of thinking is required, sir.
Right, correct. Okay, thank you, Dr. Bala. It was a pleasure having you in our session. Thank you very much.
My pleasure also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bala. It was really lovely having you amongst us. And now, before we move on, we have a poll question for our audience. Can we have the poll on the screen, please? So you'll have 20 seconds to lodge your answer. The question is, how important is product development cost to stay ahead in competition? And your options are: with product development cost, I can submit highly competitive bid. And your second option is product development is not related to competitive environment. You have 20 seconds. Please lodge in your answer. And can we please have the results on screen, please? Okay, so, oh wow. So 87% people think that with lower product development cost, they can submit highly competitive bid, while only 13% think that product development is not relative in competitive environment. That's great. So now we will move on to our next session, which is a technical presentation by Mr. Nitin Malvarkar, who's the Country Technical Manager for Mainstream Engineering at Siemens Industry Software. Again, this would be followed by a Q&A session. So I would request our audience to type all their questions in the Q&A box that is below, next to the chat box. Over to you, Mr. Nitin.
Thank you, Anvita. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Perfect. First of all, I would really like to thank Dr. Balamuragan for his presentation. It was really amazing. So thanks a lot, sir. Good afternoon all. Like Anvita mentioned, my name is Nitin Malvarkar, and I'm working as a Country Technical Manager for Mainstream Engineering. And now, Dr. Balamuragan has already talked about the advantages of digitalization. But it might seem like, for small and medium businesses, it might seem like the concept of digital transformation, it gets applied, or it is applied only for big manufacturers with really big budgets, right? But then what happens if you're not a larger organization? What happens if you're a very small organization, if you have only 5 or 10 people working in your organization? So how does digitalization really help SMBs like you? Well, here I would like to start off with a trend which you have seen with most of the small and medium businesses. We see a key trend impacting manufacturers across different industry sectors. And the trend is increasing competition from manufacturers globally and domestic markets. Now, manufacturers in mature countries may compete more on the basis of their product features, and they also have the reputation of delivering high quality and reliable products to fall back on, right? Whereas manufacturers in developing countries, from what we have seen in the past, is that they have always competed more on the price aspect. But now, the best part about a new trend that we've noticed, and this is especially true for us, that is in India, is that these manufacturers are now competing in the same areas and features as from mature countries as well. But then this creates a new challenge. That is, because of the competition from both the domestic market and the international market, it ends up putting immense pressures on these manufacturers. And with the increased competition, there is a constant pressure to bring highly complex products to market quickly as well. So this is where this trend has its own implications as well. I mean, one implication is, because of this competitiveness, there's a lot of pressures on the organizations to bring in unique and optimized products to the market. But then this parameter, that is time to market, it can't be achieved at the cost of reliability and performance, right? Now, as this chart shows, manufacturers who can introduce products to market ahead of the competition, they not only benefit from increased profitability, but from increased market share as well. Now, as we all know, bringing high quality products to market quickly is not easy. We have seen a lot of businesses who keep using outdated products for design, validation, and manufacturing purposes. Now, the implications of using such outdated products is that this results in delaying the product's time to market first, and the most important part is you end up providing your competitors an edge over you. And as we're all aware, complexity of products is increasing day by day, right? Now, here a lack of proper integration across various departments can actually end up slowing the product development process, and this will invariably result in lost revenue. So, as we have already discussed, bringing quality products to market, and that too quickly, is not easy. And with the ever increasing complexity of products, this normally results in products' time to market being delayed. So now one of the possibilities is that they need to lower the product development cost. And another possibility is for the manufacturers to lower the overall product cost as well. Now over here, we have a research from industry analyst Tech Clarity. This shows that one way by which organizations are succeeding in their markets is by first being faster to provide quotes to their customers, and second, by also being faster to deliver the final product to their customers. Now the chart here shows the areas where top performers differentiate themselves from the competitions. You can see that speed to deliver quotes and to deliver the final product is the key area where top performers really stand out. Another possibility would be to capture best practices for product development, both in the region of workflow process and component selection. Now, this would ensure that the proven processes are followed by new and less experienced employees as well. And this is exactly what Siemens helps you with. Now, we are aware that manufacturers are faced with increasing complex requirements from their customers. We believe if the business wants to move faster, while lowering the cost of development and production, then we believe that these businesses will need to use the complexity as a competitive advantage. So with all of this complexity, how can manufacturers make decisions about their products? And that too with confidence. How can they achieve innovation in today's competitive markets? We believe there are three key components that can provide a competitive edge for our customers over their competitors. First one is by providing solutions that deliver a comprehensive digital twin. What do you mean by digital twin? That is something which Dr. Balamuragan talked about initially in his presentation. This is a detailed 3D digital model of your proposed product. The digital twin can be used as a basis for all areas of product development. This includes managing customer requirements to concept and detailed design, to simulation, to manufacturing, installation, and service as well. Second, we make solutions and services which are highly personalized and adaptable. Now we understand that it's not necessary that one single approach will work for everyone. And we also understand that companies need to be able to work at their own pace. And this is exactly the kind of personalization that we offer to our customers. The third solution that we provide is we provide a flexible open ecosystem that works with your existing systems and data. This is the most important and key part. Now, we know that no organizations is working in isolation, right? They depend on multiple other organizations, be it their suppliers, customers, partners, and distributors. All of them can collaborate within an ecosystem with the help of our open ecosystem. So basically, digitalization is changing all the areas of life, the way we stay informed, the way we travel, the way we buy things. But it also is changing the way we design and manufacture products. And it is also changing the business models. I mean, the pace of innovation and the ability to disrupt, these are quickly becoming the key success factors in product development. So one such customer, who has adopted digitalization is Industrial Design and Associates. Now they are basically based out of Atlanta, and they're a machine builder who specialize in PLC system machines, and they provide custom-made machines for robotics and motion applications. One of the main challenges that they faced was from larger companies. Large companies had major issues. And then another challenge was that some of the customers were technically advanced as well. So now this company had to come up with a solution which could help address not only these challenges, but then other economic climate challenges as well. So what they did was they reimagined the complete design and manufacturing process. They decided to become completely digitalized. So they implemented the form of digital twin to help them right from conceptualization through utilization as well. And because of this digital transformation, they were able to win business from large and sophisticated companies. The time to market decreased by 33%. This was actually instrumental in meeting the customer's requirement for faster delivery. And the rework, the rework reduced from 20% to 2%. Can you imagine 20% to 2%? This resulted in significant cost savings, which is something which you can all relate to, especially during this difficult economic times that we are in as of now. Another point to note over here now is that the company is able to view and make any revision changes that the customer wants while the customer is on the call. And this was all achieved with the help of our Siemens solution, which is Solid Edge and Team Center. So before I end my presentation, I would like to provide you with a couple of takeaways. The first would be, so what would happen to companies that fail to embrace digitalization? Simple, they'll fall behind. Now, with the kind of the technology, the pace at which the technology is evolving, disruptions can make the products and business completely obsolete. We as Siemens can actually help you digitalize your businesses and can help you realize your product innovation. And we can achieve this by bringing together your entire product innovation process, along with the people and the information across departments, partners, and suppliers as well. We can help you manage and optimize your complete product lifecycle. Another point to note, as you're aware, the industry is adapting to the changing needs, and the products, like I mentioned, are getting complex day by day, right? So the customer is looking at different ways to overcome this complexity and also to gain a competitive advantage over the competitors. Now, Siemens is taking on that challenge with a comprehensive digital twin. Now, as we started this presentation talking about the key twin in manufacturing, which we understand, can be difficult for SMBs to manage. So what we as Siemens provide you is, with a complete solutions that can not only help you with make the decisions with confidence, but we can also help you move faster, reduce cost, and create new business models as well. So with that, I'm done with my presentation, and I'm open for any questions that you might have.
Thank you for that really insightful session, Mr. Malvarkar. I think we have a couple of questions. I will just ask Mr. Shekhar to redirect them to you.
Sure.
Over to you, Shekhar, sir.
Yes, thanks, Anvita. Thanks, Nitin. It was really great. You really touched upon the topic in a very lucid manner, especially the case study. That case study really depicted what exactly your solution will do in the process of new product development. So there is a question from Amandeep Singh Sandhu. We are a coil spring manufacturer with a specialized production process. How can it translate into a digital environment through your technology?
Well, like I mentioned, inside Siemens, we have a complete plethora of solutions. I mean, it might be starting with, designing the particular spring. We can start with conceptualization of that spring. We can do that inside the CAD solutions that we have. Then when it comes to actual manufacturing, when it comes to manufacturing, we have multiple solutions which include CAM, or it might actually include virtual commissioning. All of these solutions can actually help you to translate into a digital environment.
Okay. There is one question. Currently, there is a lot of fluctuations in the demand of certain products in the market, and there are chances that some products will get more demand and some products demand will go down. So how to manage it, how to make the operations or manufacturing or new product development operations flexible in synchronization with the market demands?
Well, for this, I think, the best answer would be to how easily and how quickly you can adapt to the market. So let's say, like you mentioned, there's quite a lot of fluctuations. So you have a particular design. I can tell you from a product design point of view. So I know that we have a particular design within our organization. Now, I have made 3 or 4 different versions of it, but now I realize that, a couple of versions are not working. So I need to make some new revisions or new versions of that existing model. So this is where a digital tool is going to help you out. And this is where our customization models or customization tools are going to help you out. You can not only make your digital twin of the particular product, but you can make multiple variants of it within a fraction of time. So in case your dynamic change, your market changes, you can make some modifications to the existing design and still end up going to your market faster with a new product.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Nitin. Over to you, Anvita.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar. Thank you, Mr. Nitin, for making time out.
Yeah, there is one more question. Can you just hold on?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, it's from Abhishek Ganesh Gumari. Are there any particular data analysis software which can find relationship between variables automatically and establish a formula, as data analysis is always required in the R&D work?
I would like to understand from which concept, what is the background for this particular question. So maybe, what I can do is I can get in touch with Mr. Abhishek,
Okay, that's better.
offline, and I'll answer his questions.
Sure. There is also one question from Ajay Karanam. Can you convert 2D drawings to 3D drawings?
Well, first of all, we don't have 3D drawings. We have 3D models. And to answer your question, yes, we can do. We do have an option inside our Siemens solutions wherein we can bring in your DWGs and DXFs, and we can use them for creating 3D models if that's what you're looking for. Yeah,
Okay,
we can do that.
Okay. The next question is from Mr. Nahari. Does Siemens solution integrate electronic manufacturing and also simulation of IoT-based products and their integration with other components of the product?
Yes, we do. We do the complete thing. So, like I mentioned, we have multiple solutions, right from concept design to manufacturing to even IoT solutions, and all of these things can be integrated together. So, yeah, we do have new solutions for IoT, which you call it as MindSphere, and we have applications by which you can make quickly create new applications which can sit on these IoT platforms. We call it as Mendix. So with Mendix and MindSphere and the PLM solutions that we have, we can easily do this.
Okay. Thanks, Nitin. Over to you, Anvita.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you. Now, for the last session for today, which is a panel discussion on managing competitive challenges with efficient product development, I'd like to invite Mr. Shekhar Jitkar, who is the Chief Editor of Publish Industry India, and our panelist, Mr. B.C. Rao, who is the Managing Director of Kennametal India, Mr. Kedar Deshpande, who is the Managing Director of Umasant Auto Compo, and Mr. Viraj Kalyani, the CEO of Kalyani Studios, and lastly, Mr. Nitin Malvadkar. Over to you, Mr. Jitkar. Yes.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Anvita. I will just adjust my phone. Good evening, everyone. Hope everything is all right at your end and you're taking good care of yourself. It's my pleasure to moderate today's panel discussion on this interesting topic of managing competitive challenges with efficient product development using digitalization technologies. So it is the third session of this series, and I would like to personally thank again Siemens Industry Software and each of the speakers for their participation in the session today. So industries today, they have been facing with enormous competitive challenges and uncharted waters as they continue to navigate the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. So they have to face this crisis with the spirit of reinvention, accelerating digital transformation, establishing variable cost structures, and implementing agile operations. That's very important. So industries must navigate this the financial and operational challenges of coronavirus, while at the same time while rapidly addressing the needs of their people, their customers, and their suppliers. So no one has to, of course, no one has to tell manufacturing company executives that it's getting tougher to differentiate themselves and compete successfully. They feel the pressure every day. So irrespective of whether the crisis is there or not, there is a pressure of competition always. And the rapid globalization, then technological advancements and changing customer preferences and evolving government policies, and now currently the COVID-19 crisis. So all of these factors are reshaping the manufacturing industry exponentially, and exponentially accelerating the pace of competition and continually raising the bar on product performance, and minimizing complexity, then maximizing leanness, encouraging agility, remanufacturing, and recycling. So these things are considered the major targets for manufacturing enterprises to manage the competitive challenges today. And so then they have to also consider this product economics, the trade-offs, flexibility, and mass customization trends. So it becomes it's very important today to understand and analyze what kind of strategy and approach the industry should think of to respond to these changes and remain competitive. So with this, I would like to start our panel discussion with our eminent speakers. So my first question would be to Mr. B.C. Rao. So there has been a huge disruption in manufacturing and supply chain operations due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Such kind of situation demands production companies think and act differently and look at new normal for best practices in every function. So in this scenario, how to manage the product economics, that's very important today. So do you think the customers have become more price sensitive and less of brand loyal than ever before?
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you, Efficient Manufacturing, as well as the Siemens and all. Good afternoon to all the participants who have called in today. So it's a good question. As far as my viewpoint goes, the two key pillars of the customer loyalty you talked about. What is customer loyalty? For me, it is about trust. It is about the confidence. Both have been put to the ultimate test in this pandemic of COVID situation. Hence, organizations need to start preparing almost in an unprecedented pace, the foundation for the new normal. Customer-centric model we talk about, while delivering an immediate response to the current situation. It's quite interesting, although it is not from industrial consumable, but it's more from the consumable durables. I came across from Deloitte Global State of Consumer Tracker. It indicates that 64% of the Indian customers are likely to buy the brands that have responded well to the current crisis. You see that? It's such a powerful statement to their study shows. And the Indian shopper is more likely to be loyal to the demand fulfillment and authenticity of the brands than being brand loyal during these times. So I would say that revisiting the values and purpose, upgrading to digital offering. The whole theme is about the digital now. Upgrading to the digital offering and service. That is the key to success, Shekhar.
Right. Mr. Deshpande, would you like to add about the product economics in the today's situation? I think your microphone is mute. Can you unmute that?
Yes, sorry. Good evening, everyone, Mr. Shekhar and all panelists and all participants. I come from auto component manufacturing, and as well as we manufacture special purpose machines. So from both areas, what I would like to say, what the experience of in auto component manufacturing is that the customer with the restart of after the pandemic situation, the customer is more demanding on to streamline the supply chain rather than expecting to make a cost-effective solution immediately. Probably he will be the customer will be or a client will be looking after the price sensitivity or only after the situation is more streamlined. From auto component manufacturing point of view, but from fixed asset point of view, like SPMs or machines which can be manufactured, the client is more sensitive even today, means immediately after the pandemic, because of considering the situation which they can. So they are not focusing on the brand loyalty, but they are focusing on the price sensitivity. from this side. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I will ask Viraj now. So, hi. Today it is important to understand the trade-off between product performance and time to market, where the technology fits in. So, how to identify, understand, and manage trade-offs in a way to increase the product success? And do you think the crisis may increase or decrease demand for particular products, making the estimation of a realistic final customer demand harder? But it's very important.
Yeah, this is a very important question and throws up a lot of insights during a time of crisis. So what has happened in the during the last few months of this pandemic, and then the lockdown, and several measures that have been taken, any sort of a crisis situation, it brings out realities of any industry, and there are two sets of realities that come out, which I've observed right now. One is, what is the new things that are going on, which are going to grow a lot, grow exponentially, and what is the future? And the second is, what is the past? What are the old ways or business models which no more are viable, but they were somehow just carrying along due to the earlier wave or momentum. So when the crisis comes in, these two realities come out very sharply. So, and now putting this into a context of product development and making the trade-offs between product performance and time to market, as you said. So I'd like to address them in these two buckets. One is of the new business models, and the other is old business models. So when it comes to first the old business models, which are being challenged by this crisis situation, and they have to really sort of reinvent themselves. So what they should be focusing on is slowing down and assessing the whole landscape, and not make any hasty moves. Mm-hmm. They should, if they have a product pipeline, which was working in the old business model, they need to really revisit that entire pipeline and take out the things which the products or the features which are no more going to be valid, and start looking at reallocating budgets from those to new areas. Those companies, OEMs, businesses that had already started or had sort of foreseen or are working towards a future of more digitalization, more 21st century technologies. They may have started a couple of years ago or decades ago, and now this crisis has provided them an opportunity to really speed up. So for them, they should go full throttle with the few ideas or a few product areas that they're working on, and increase their investments there, and increase their speed of launching the product into the market. So that's how I would look at it. It's important to know which one you are in, because of course there can be companies where you have some old legacy product portfolio and you have a new product portfolio coming up. But there are also companies which are so much stuck in a certain old business model that they really have to look at survival and reinvention. And young companies, or especially startups that have already started on new products, they need to move fast. They need to take advantage of the situation. They need to partner with OEMs. So this provides an opportunity for partnerships as well, where you can make up for each other's strengths and weaknesses.
True, very well said. Mr. Rao, would you like to add any thoughts on this in terms of how to manage the product trade-offs between the product performance and the time to market?
My perspective is many times this kind of a trade-off, what you talk about, is necessary, but it does have its own challenges. Collaboration with the customer is the key to enable this kind of a win-win situation, whatever we do. So what does it mean? We need to understand the customer requirement very well. So hence it is appropriate to focus on prioritizing the customer needs and align the development process and leveraging the technology. Technology has to be leveraged. That is the only way it will enhance the speed to the market. With the increase in competition and customer expectations are not clearly defined, very often, let me say from the cutting tools, our perspective in Chemical Media, when you go, the customers are also not clear what they want. This is the kind of things. So that is where understanding clearly the defined, what is that customer needs are, and that is where the trade-off from our technology, from our expertise, we have to become a consultative in the process of developing. It is not that we product something, come on, you use it, customer. This is becoming a more of a consultative win-win development process. And then you talked about the demand. Yes, it is extremely difficult. Whether 100cc bike will sell or 155 or next month tractor will sell more. It's absolutely difficult for us to project what kind of a, the SKUs we have to target for new development. But I would say that it is the time for us to directionally, if we are right, to the extent of say around 70%, keep moving ahead. Do not get yourself sucked into getting all 100% right and see that, okay, this is what the market needs. And timing is definitely important, and cost structure. The Indian customers are definitely, I don't say that they are only focusing on price, but price value. I call it as performance value, what we call it as in our cutting tools. I have seen more and more. Fit to purpose, it is okay. Then you keep on adding the feature. So that's how you can get to the market fast. And also, okay, again, I'm going back to the consumer because that is something easy for us to relate. You just see this Flipkarts and all those e-commerce guys. Now, even our Kirana shops during this pandemic situation, they are not left behind. They are also doing something. So that means the technology adoption is possible. It is only a question of from the top in the organization. We have to be convinced that technology we have to adopt. We have to put little more effort to understand the customer requirement. And then these days, that is what is the recipe for success. And finally, I want to conclude by saying that customer behavior will shift to value and essential. So that means we have to be very clear what is that requirement, value and essentials, that fit for purpose product I talked about. And the next thing is about the mode of buying also will change. There is going to be multiple ways of how the customer buys, that we have to leave it to them. And similarly, the product development is no way different. Online, omni-channel, these are all the routes. So the product development function, there are much more challenges. I'm quite sure with this technology usage, and the stone has to be set in the top. Otherwise it will not work. So that is the kind of, that's what is my take.
Yeah, I will come to Nitin now. So after, as Mr. Rao mentioned, that we have to leverage on the new technological aspects of any kind of product development, whether it's manufacturing or designing. But in terms of competition, if you see so how to compete with global and local players with innovative and smarter products that should be in sync with the market requirements, with the fluctuation of demands which is happening currently. So what opportunities small and medium businesses can see in this area?
Thanks, Shekhar. See, like I mentioned during my presentation, we see a key trend impacting manufacturers, and that is that the customers are demanding highly customized and connected products. And this normally, it has ended up in increased complexity of the products and the challenges which accompany them. So one complexity example I can give you, and there's again is very similar. Is with consumer goods. Now we see a new trend where manufacturers are trying to make their products as compact as possible, right? And to achieve this, they need to use high density PCBs and a lot of more electronics, which needs to sit in a very small space. Now we again see a complexity at factory or process level as well. They include integrating design, manufacturing, utilization, and deployment. I think another point to keep in mind over here is that nowadays these small to medium business manufacturers are subject to the same trends that are impacting the global manufacturers. In fact, some smaller manufacturers, I believe, are often a part of the supply chains of larger OEMs as well. Now, the main reason is, because of the poor collaboration and communication between different departments. The implication of this is poor product quality and errors. These errors end up with a rework on the shop floor, thereby not giving up, not thereby driving up the costs of the product, but essentially delaying the time of the market, to market of the product itself. So what I suggest is, one of the possibilities is to introduce faster and flexible product development processes. Now, this can be achieved with a digital twin of the product that I mentioned during my presentation. We can use a digital twin which actually can be enhanced and utilized throughout the entire product lifecycle as well.
Right, correct. Yeah, Mr. Deshpande, would you like to add anything in that? Because you have been supplying to OEMs, even Indian as well as the MNCs. So how to manage this competition from local as well as global suppliers?
There are two different levels we operate at. First is that domestic supplier, domestic customer or client's requirement is way different than the overseas customers. So overseas customers are more systematically operated and properly focusing on and giving more time for product development and establishing the processes as well. So when they gave you a time, then we certainly use like Mr. Nitin's solutions like Solid Edge for developing our products, and that definitely helps us and reducing our cost by basically using all these products, reducing time as well, and we also do some analysis of the product, which also reduces the iterations of the product development. So these two things definitely happen with our overseas customers. Local customers definitely are always in hurry, and they want product developed not today but yesterday. So they are always in a focus to get the product as early as possible. Here as well, if you see that a decade ago, we used to manufacture or develop the products from 2D to 3D. And now the whole scenario is changed. Now we start with 3D product development, and then subsequently we boil down to the 2D drawings for development of the product. So this has definitely reduced our time for development of the product. So that's how definitely it is useful.
Right. So Nitin, do you think, like what Mr. Deshpande mentioned, that overseas customers, they have the proper program for the new product development? They will give time to suppliers, and they will also work with them to helping them in creating a proper product development program. But with the local customers, as Mr. Deshpande mentioned, that they would like to have the product yesterday. So how to manage that time between the customer demand and the development of the product?
Well, I think the answer would be, by using virtual collaboration. That is, I think, one of the most key aspects. Especially during this time, that a lot of people are working from home. So virtual collaboration is going to play a very important role in ensuring the continuity. Now, I think I might be repeating this, but I must say that we have shared the need of collaborating between, small to medium businesses a couple of years back. And now it's actually the time to embrace the change. It's not that we didn't have any solutions, or, it's not as if the solutions were not available. But I think it's time for the SMBs to actually identify and adopt this, the solutions that we talk about.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think we can have a second poll question now, just to understand from the audience about their thoughts on the topic. So, Anvita, can you just announce the poll?
Anvita's laptop froze, so I'll be running the poll now.
Yeah. Yes. So the question is, which of the following impacts the increased product complexity may have? So whether it's better tools allow us to create complex products faster. Responding faster to the customer with accurate solution enhances your competitive edge, and complex products demand higher product development costs. Saving the cost of development increases the profitability, and all of the above. We have 20 seconds to submit this whole answer. Yes, can we have the result of the poll? Yes, you have the result in front of us. This, all of the above has 68%, and then the complex products demands higher development cost. Saving the cost of development increases the profitability. That has just 4%, and responding faster to the customer with accurate solution enhances your competitive edge. That's 18%, and better tools allow us to create complex products faster. It's 11%. Okay. With this, we move on to the next question. I would like to ask Mr. Rao how to initiate, like you mentioned about the customer collaboration, but there has been a lot of gaps, I will say, between the supplier and the provider. How to initiate this real-time collaboration with customers for creating increased value for them, then increase the flexibility and mass customization.
Yeah, first and the foremost is about today, corporates are much more open to collaborate. See, they are just trying to see in terms of where is the value coming in from, and innovation or creativity is not limited. It is not the domain of only the corporate big MNCs or companies. Even the small startups can significantly add the value. Having said this, I would say that first and foremost about it is extremely critical that the manufacturing firms understand during the product development whether their customers existing and also potential, because whenever we develop something, it is not only for today and tomorrow also. Do they really care for mass customization? And do they perceive the value? Then only we have to go. Because as I said, it is all about value. So that's where the close knitting with the customer comes. Mass customization is a strategy named to create higher customer value. So that means it goes undoubtedly that it starts with the customer. By customizing the product through a close interaction during the design and production process, high production flexibility and efficient logistics, it has to be end-to-end. It cannot be only isolated to one small corner. I would say that today's digital platforms, sharing and developing together. See, there is another important sentence I want to add is apart from our experience of working with many customers, including aerospace and defense. That is where we have, something different experience came is trust and honoring each other's boundaries, including the IPR. That is where the collaboration it enables. So we have to have that fundamentals very clearly. I would also like to talk about the cluster approach that enables a collaboration. You just see these Japanese or the Koreans when they come, whole sort of, their those vendor, this thing, anything and everything moves or comes together. And that is the strong bonding. I have seen many of those companies, the small scale industries or medium scale, they fall back on the OEMs for getting that kind of an input for the processes or putting the SOPs or in terms of the testing, making the dependable quality, right cost, and also in terms of the supply continuity. So auto components are good examples of these things. So I would like to conclude by saying that collaboration does not limit only to industry today, whether it is large or medium, even the educational institutions. See, Atmanirbhar Bharat provides a lot of opportunity. So earlier, the speaker talked about in terms of the IITs, people go and tie up with institutions, people go and tied up with some of the educational or other government institute because they have funding, they have technical know-how. So today is the time, I think we are much more open.
Right.
Thank you.
Viras, would you like to add something on this in terms of the initiating real-time collaboration with customers for creating increased value?
Yeah, sure.
definitely mass
Yes.
customized.
So the collaboration aspect is a very crucial part of success of new product development for the OEMs and for their partners, for different companies. In times like these, when there's a disruption, it's important for people or companies to instill some new behaviors of collaboration, especially around product development. The whole agile methodology, that's something that we adopt here in Kalyani Studio. That has been very, very powerful. Yeah, and as we're interacting with customers, the main point is that people should get used to seeing small increments in the product at very frequent intervals, rather than waiting for many months to see some very big change. There should be very frequent collaboration between companies, customers, and suppliers in this product development process. And while this is happening, the expectations should not be for perfection. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good. That's something that we talk about. We have to do a lot of prototyping together. Companies should see that they're capturing the value in the product and see the sort of life form of the product evolve until the launch stage or the testing stage. So these kind of new behaviors at all levels in all the various departments of the companies that are collaborating, that is important. And another part is of bringing data literacy, because with all these digital products, IoT technologies coming in, the whole value, a lot of value is getting provided by data. That is getting produced by your car or bike or machine. So for people across the organization, they should start understanding what is the value of this data. How do I capture this data? How can I provide it to the end customer and provide value to them? Because that sort of digitalization is very, very important. So just driving these sort of new behaviors of collaboration, I think is important right now.
Correct. So then very important question comes that if we talk about digitalization, currently in this crisis time, companies, especially the small and medium companies, they are pressurized with the cash flow. So what would be, I will ask Mr. Deshpande, what would be your advice that how to balance between the conservation of cash and the investments in the new technologies? What should be the approach towards adoption of new technologies like digitalization?
As I say, initially we feel that investing in digitalization is a costly affair. But as eventually you find out that it is definitely a cost reduction which happens over the period, and which you get very quick returns on that. For example, I will say that, okay, my supply chain is already on completely digital system. The person who is going to supply me material is going to connect with my system, and he is adding the details of his invoice. Rather, he is creating the invoice at his end. While he is creating invoice, the data is transferred and exchanged with my system. Once he gets to the gate, that the whole thing is then just scanned with the barcode, and even at the stores it is scanned. So what happens is the cost of manual cost involved in checking on the gate and everything gets reduced. So that is how the turnaround time for the supplier is completely reduced. So in this way, this is one example I am just trying to give. In this way, actually the digitalization definitely helps. This is the example, of course, on the commercial side of the digitalization, and on technical side, it is helpful. Like, as I said earlier also, it reduces a product development time. So it's always a question, difficult question, to whether I have to invest for the technology or not. every year one has to think of keeping out some funds for investing in new technologies which are coming in. Your observation and your continuous lookout for new things should be definitely there. Even for SMEs, it is possible. And while doing that, definitely then that technical technology adoption actually helps in surviving in such a difficult situation. One more thing that I would like to say to SMEs is that they should reduce the cost, which are definitely not required. The fixed cost, mainly fixed cost, we should be focusing on to reduce it substantial level. Let them go. Let your product line, which is not giving you much profitability, you should leave it and consolidate at this moment, and then come out of the situation and then again grab for more businesses which are more profitable. So that's how one has to go through this turmoil.
Very, very apt thought in the current times.
Yeah.
Nitin, would you like to comment on how to manage this product economics in this crisis situation when there is a cost pressure?
Sure. I mean, again, I'll give you an example of the collaboration. You know, I can give you an example of something new, ECAD to MCAD collaboration. Now, I'm sure, as of you, all of you know that over the last 4 to 5 years, a lot of new technologies like industrial IoT, smart connected homes, electric cars have been identified, and they are gaining pace, right? So all these technologies are smart products which are powered by, you know, electromechanical products. So we see that a lot of manufacturers are actually moving towards these electromechanical products, and they are adopting electromechanical designs. Now, most of these companies have 3 different departments, like be it mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and manufacturing. And during a survey, we actually found that 2 departments, that is electrical and mechanical departments, have very little communication between them. It's only when the product goes for manufacturing, or when the companies are creating a prototype, do these 2 departments get together, right? So when we talk about building smarter products using digitalization, we feel that gone are the days where we used to struggle between 2 or 3 different departments. With the kind of ECAD and MCAD solutions that we have now, we can find, there is multiple ways with which they can collaborate with each other and actually reduce the number of errors which normally result on the shop floor. This not only, helps in reducing the product cost, but also helps in taking your product faster to the market. So I think that's one example of digitalization helping make smart products.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I will come to the last question now, which I will request each one of you, if you can answer it in brief. So what can we expect next? What kind of changes the manufacturing industry and manufacturers can anticipate going further? So what kind of strategy and approach the industry should think of to respond to these changes and remain competitive, sustainable in the current crisis time, as well as in just a near future? So I will start with Mr. Rao.
See, I look at that 4 V's are becoming very, very important, and also along with that, its challenges. What is that 4 V's from the customer? Entire supply chain, the variety, customers' variety demand is becoming more. The product requirements are becoming volume agnostic. That means even if it is somebody wants 5 numbers and somebody wants 50. And the velocity, right from sourcing to the vendor, product development to sourcing to vendor to this one, anything and everything. And they want visibility. So this 4V is the way forward. Now, what does it mean? Manufacturing, the conventional thinking is about, let's take this pandemic COVID situation. Okay, all the people have to be at site. Manufacturing company, no work from home is possible. Now that is changing. If you see, right from the product development to even the support function, anything and everything, there are diagnostic tools are available remote, there are collaboration tools are available. So this will result in the emergence of a virtual shift, a team of specialists connected remotely online in order to guide and support the reduced physical shift of online personnel, enabled by the real data, artificial intelligence based insights, and a range of communication and collaboration tools, I think this virtual shift will help digitize and scale much needed expertise across the organization. So workforce also become much more focused, effective, and ultimately, I would say that significantly more productive. Let me give an example. See, we bought a machine, a Swiss make, costing around 6 crore. In the usual way of working is about some 3-4 experts will come from Switzerland and they will work here and then it gets commissioned. Now what to do? No flights, nothing, nobody can travel. This HoloLens technology, the collaboration tools, what has been used. The machine was commissioned within 2 weeks. Problems were there and it's overcome. So those kind of changes are happening. And I would say that it will drive a lot of changes in the manufacturing environment. I will also like to add that health and safety will become a significant new factor. See, there is a trust deficit. People are raising the questions between the financial institution to the customers, to the employees, to the management, to customer. So this kind of a new paradigm, we have to now see what is that extra we can do. Adaptation of more renewable energies and focusing on environmental friendly processes and product development and supply chain. Even customers will put a bet extra on this kind of a partner. And I will say that for last but not the least, I would end by saying that building competent workforce, updating the skills on a regular basis, need for multi-dimensional skill set in robotics, programming, digitization, process, collaboration, etc. These are all going to become the need of the hour. HR department, even they have to continuously think about how to retrain and how to retain the talent, how to attract the talent. It will be not a same old way of working for all of us. We have to be prepared for new ways.
Right, very well said. Viraj, would you like to comment? What can we expect next?
Yeah, I'll just summarize in 3 main points that we should sort of embrace. First is embrace digital, embrace the fact that your product needs to become a digital product, and you need to start bringing in those technologies and a mindset to adapt digital technologies inside your product. And for that, you need to create incentives within your team that it is okay to collaborate with outside wherever you don't have those kind of expertise. It's not that suddenly everybody needs to become a digital expert, but you need to create that environment to from top down that products need to become digital. Second is the whole Atmanirbhar Bharat movement is very, very well thought of by our Prime Minister. And such kind of a crisis creates that fresh outlook to really look at our local companies, being vocal about local, because there are many, many small companies, large companies, medium size, and startups that are doing really new ideas. And if we just look around and start collaborating with each other to build new products that can be, it sets the stage for the next 5 or 10 years of building in this, of nation building. And the third point is that we need to all get very, very end user focused. And this ties with the digital aspect. Digital technologies help companies reach the end consumer much faster. And using your own existing product, maybe it's a motorcycle, it's a car, it's a CNC machine. You can put in digital technologies and connect it to the smartphone of the consumer. And that is already happening. A lot of us are doing that already. And then once you digitize, there's the potential of new features is limitless, because then that physical barrier is removed of how much you can do with one physical product. So these 3 things are, I think, very key. First is digitalizing as an organization. Second is embracing local collaboration. and third is focusing on the end user.
Correct. That's it. Mr. Deshpande?
Thank you.
Yeah, I will sum up with, I think, 4 points. The first is, of course, adaptation of automation and digitalization. That is absolutely essential for the future. Uh, the second one I would say is the acquisition of new skill sets for each and everyone in the organization. I will just give example that my directly employed workers can now make programs on the robots. Almost 50 plus robots we are using, and they can actually program. So I don't have to look for the for any engineer to be employed for robot programming. So such kind of acquisition of skill sets are absolutely essential. That will take us a long. And the third thing I will say that exchange of data from computers to machines and vice versa. So these things will definitely see in coming future. Recently, the things are happening. So people talk about Industry 4.0, but the real use of data, which is on the shop floor, can be fetched to the system or the office, and then vice versa. So you program something on in the office and then just download that program to the robo, and robo will start functioning accordingly instead of going to the shop floor and robo programming is done. So such kind of changes will definitely see in a bigger way in coming days in manufacturing sector. And the fourth one is, I think one should definitely focus and continuously observe what is happening in the additive manufacturing. Because earlier when it came, then it was just like printing some small toys and something, some gifts and all this. But now the functional parts are being really and seriously manufactured. So I think there will be quite a bit change happening in that manufacturing sector. So everyone should focus and at least try to understand how it may hit to their business model. So these are the 4 points I would like to say about. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And good, you shared the example of that people in your shop floor, they're ready for, they are working on the robot programming. That's just good to hear.
Yeah.
So Nitin, would you like to sum it up?
Sure, Shekhar. I just have a couple of things to tell most of the small and medium businesses. First one would be don't assume digitalization is not for you. Now, what might actually surprise you is a lot of organizations have already been investing into digital transformation, and this includes your competitors as well. And they are already experiencing the potential for process and design improvements. Second thing I would like to tell them is don't assume that your firm is too small for transformation. Now, with the kind of competition that you have in the market right now, I think it would be better if you can adapt, or it's most likely that you will be liable to be left behind in the competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there are some questions from the audience, which I will take it ahead. First question is from Mr. Narhari. Can we say that the impact due to COVID-19 in the B2B type of business is lesser as compared to B2C type of business? Viras, would you like to answer?
Okay, that is hard to answer. I think everybody will sort of face a lot of impact. I've seen in the B2B environment also, especially with the factories being shut down, the main the production getting hit. I wouldn't say that it's more the consumer facing companies. It's been an overall impact across
It's the same.
all the value chain.
That's right. Next question is from Mr. Rajan Bhatt. Is there a software solution that enables accelerated fatigue stress testing and life estimation for aerospace components? Nitin, you can answer that.
Yeah, we do have a solution inside, our portfolio solutions. We have something known as SimCenter 3D. We have something known as FreeMap. We can actually help you with this. So maybe what I can do is I can get in touch with Mr. Bhatt, is it? Yeah. So I would like to get in touch with Mr. Bhatt and try and understand what his requirement is. And accordingly, we can provide him with a solution.
Okay. Next question is from Mr. Ajay Karnam. How do we integrate global and local suppliers and customers? I don't know. Mr. Rao, can you answer?
See, global and local, it talks about supplier. I believe by my understanding is about from the framework of, let's say, about some suppliers are from overseas, some suppliers are from the local. Let me give you an example from the perspective of our VIDMA special purpose machines. We do import certain critical several parts from global giants, and also in terms of the local, there are suppliers. Over a period of time, I see that local suppliers have well understood our requirement and also the global supply, that portion of that supply chain, what is coming from outside. And then going forward, what I would say is about this kind of a drive, what is coming today, more the economies, countries are looking at inward. Even we have this kind of Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. It doesn't mean that we are closed outside the country, but wherever possible, more localization. I would say that it all depends upon the end customer who is consuming our product. They are in a better position to collaborate both with the outside India supplies coming in and also the inside. That's what I think.
Okay. Fine. I think we'll take further questions offline. Due to interest of time, we would like to stop here. So thanks to each one of you for sharing your open thoughts on the very interesting topic. And it was really interesting and insightful that your thoughts came in on this platform. So we managed to do justice to this topic very well. Thanks to each one of you. Finally, we have to agree to the fact that we have to live with the virus for some time more, and we have to manage, strategize our life as well as our business accordingly, and stay fit, stay healthy, and of course we have to stay our business also healthy. So we have to work towards it in terms of having the new innovations in the business, and of course, as all of you mentioned, the digitalization technologies which can help us save cost as well as make our operations as normal as possible. Thanks to each one of you. Thanks to the audience. Over to you, Anvita.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you, Mr. Chitkar. Thank you to all our speakers. I don't think I can summarize it better than what Mr. Chitkar did. So I'll just move to the closing note. I would like to thank everyone, all the speakers, panelists who made their time out for this event today. I'm sure it was absolutely insightful hearing your thoughts on the industry progression for our audience. And before closing, of course, I would like to thank Siemens Industry Software for their support and cooperation in helping making this event a success. And once again, thank you everyone, and I shall see you back here for the fourth part of the series in association with Siemens on 8th of September 2020. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, all of you. Have a good evening. Thanks for the
Have a good
opportunity
evening.
given.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
all.
Bye bye.